First, let me start by saying I hope everybody is staying safe and practicing good social distancing during this current coronavirus pandemic. And since most of us will be stuck inside for the next couple of weeks, I've decided to release 2 additional videos this week, back to back, so that while we're practicing our self-imposed quarantines, we can at least have some good content to watch. These videos will wrap up our discussion on how to crush the primary application, and like usual, I'll be sharing all of my own personal business so that you can use my application to help your own. But first, y'all know the drill. What's up YouTube? If you're new here, my name is J.R. Smith. I'm an accepted medical school applicant and I want to share my journey as well as the tips and strategies that helped me with you. And in this video, we're going to be going over the 2 most important parts of the AMCAS application. If you've been following along this series so far, you now understand how important it is to illustrate your narrative throughout your primary application. I've been sharing pieces of my own application as evidence to my statement that your story is that much more important than your stats. I'll be sure to drop a link to that video in the description below, so make sure you check it out if you haven't yet. But how do you actually best describe your story in the primary application? When you're applying to your dream school and the admissions committee for this school is reading your application, are they becoming bogged down with textbook-like information and falling asleep while reading your application? Or are they becoming more and more interested in the main character of this story to the point of them actually wanting to meet this person? So up to this point, we have emphasized the most 2 critical components of developing a successful medical school application. 1, making sure that we develop our narrative in a way that suggests that we are both committed and passionate about a career in medicine. And 2, making sure that we emphasize certain attributes and characteristics that we have that suggest that we won't only be successful medical students, but that we'll be successful doctors in the future. And the 2 most important avenues to do this are your personal statement and the experience section in the AMCAS application. In this video, we'll be going into the personal statement in detail, and in the following video, we'll be discussing the experience section. Your personal statement is your best shot to tell admissions committees why exactly you're going to be a great doctor. I'm going to briefly walk through how I approached writing my personal statement, and then I'm actually going to walk through everything that I actually wrote, so you'll be able to see word for word what I had for my personal statement. And because I love you guys, I'm going to drop a link to this document in the description below so that you can always reference my personal statement when you're drafting your own. The personal statement is one of the most intimidating parts of the application, and the reason for this is simple. It's one of the most open-ended questions that you could think of. The prompt is simply, tell us why you want to go to medical school. So I can be a doctor? But that's not gonna cut it. I'm gonna continue to return to the purpose of the primary application so we won't forget it. And again, that is to explain your narrative, to emphasize why you will become a great doctor. You want the admissions committee to see you and see a great doctor in the future. So the purpose isn't just to tell them why you want to go to medical school, but it's to explain your narrative and suggest that you're going to be a great medical student and a great future physician. So when I wrote my personal statement, I wanted it rooted in my story of how an injury led me to develop a passion for medicine. If you haven't yet, make sure you check out an earlier video where I go over my story in more detail. But again, this is really what drove me to pursue medicine as a career, and so it's only right that it serves as the foundational answer to the question, why medical school? Some applicants have similar aha moments like I had, and others have always wanted to be a doctor, and it wasn't a specific instance in time that kind of generated that passion for them. That is completely okay. Just tell your personal story, and even if there wasn't a specific moment that jump-started everything, I'm sure if you reflect and you look back, you can find multiple experiences that really cultivated a passion for medicine. And those are just as meaningful and critical to your story as those aha moments are for others. So after I figured out what I wanted my personal statement to center around, I then wanted to use this as an opportunity to emphasize a few attributes that I have that I feel like will make for a great doctor. And I know some of us struggle talking about ourselves in this way, while others are more like this.
I wear a size 77 shoe. I got 200 teeth, 80/80 vision, and I was just named the official soft drink of the 23rd Winter Olympiad. Never lost. Never lost.
But either way, it's imperative that you meet somewhere in the middle and describe your narrative in a way not necessarily telling the reader, I'm going to be a great doctor because X, Y, and Z, but rather describing your story in a way that the readers are able to draw this conclusion themselves. We all have strengths and weaknesses, and just how it's important to know areas that you can improve in, it's also important to know areas that you already excel in. And the personal statement is one of the best avenues to illustrate these things to an admissions committee. But it's also important to know what characteristics medical schools are looking for in a candidate. For example, you may be a great cook, but your culinary skills may not best reflect your capacity as a doctor. Luckily, we know exactly what admissions committees are looking for in applicants. The AAMC has a resource called the Anatomy of an Applicant, and in this resource they have a document listing the 15 core competencies of an applicant. In other words, these are the 15 skills that medical schools are looking for in a competitive applicant. From this list, I would see which ones play into your strengths and which ones play into your story, and then I would pick these and try to emphasize them in your personal statement. Now, don't try to squeeze in examples of you demonstrating all 15 core competencies. You'll have plenty of time to demonstrate other competencies through your experience section, which we'll go over in the next video, as well as through secondary essays, which we'll go over later. In your story, you're going to naturally demonstrate a few of these. It's just good to know what they're looking for so that you can emphasize these throughout. So in my case, for my story, I wanted to draw their attention to my resilience, my service orientation, my scientific inquiry, teamwork, and my capacity to continue to grow. So now I'm going to read my personal statement with you all, and I'm going to keep those 5 competencies on the screen so that you can follow them as we read, and you can kind of see where I try to emphasize those competencies throughout. So this is my personal statement. It says draft at the top, but this was actually the final version. I underlined a few things in yellow for the purposes of this video to show how I tried to emphasize some of those characteristics and those core competencies to the reader. So, college has the unique ability to reveal unearthed interests and passions to an incoming student. A self-declared businessman may become fixated on medicine, or a Division I athlete may even face possible leg amputation. These scenarios describe my undergraduate experience and were critical to my personal and academic development. Furthermore, they all stem from a traumatic injury that shaped the trajectory of my career in medicine and reveal personality traits that I believe will translate into a well-rounded and empathetic physician. As a recruited track and field athlete, I began my undergraduate career with Olympic aspirations. I plan to study business and pursue a finance-related profession that would supplement my athletic training. However, only 6 months into my freshman year, all of my preliminary plans drastically changed. During my second collegiate track meet, I dislocated my knee while long jumping. At first, my greatest concern was not being able to compete for the remainder of the season. However, this was quickly exacerbated when doctors suspected a ruptured artery that exponentially increased the risk of leg amputation. Following extensive testing, it was determined that I tore all 4 stabilizing ligaments, my popliteus muscle, and my lateral meniscus. Additionally, I ruptured my biceps femoris and damaged my peroneal nerve. However, I sustained no arterial damage and the threat of amputation significantly waned. Although the entire medical team explained the severity of the injury to me, my orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Dean Taylor, was the only one who believed I could one day return to the track. After processing the extent of my injury, I never intended to compete again. However, Dr. Taylor's confidence and sense of hope revitalized my own. He successfully performed my knee reconstruction surgery on February 17, 2015, and I had a newfound determination that would drive my subsequent collegiate career. For the next 2 years, I created and successfully reached numerous milestones, including actively bending my knee, walking unassisted, and confidently running again on the track. Although the rehabilitation process seemed painstakingly slow at times, I began to value incremental progress. This perseverance and determination allowed me to return to competition, jump at the same track in which the injury took place, and qualify for the conference championships my junior and senior years. I served as the men's team captain my senior season and was awarded the Comeback Athlete of the Year by the Duke Athletic Department. The path to becoming a physician is enduring and arduous, and I have learned the importance of long-term vision and the diligence required to achieve it. Additionally, I have come to appreciate the unique team dynamic between a patient and the medical staff, as this collective effort spurred my successful recovery. The efforts of my surgical and physical therapy teams inspired me, and I am intrinsically motivated by the belief that as a physician, I will develop the expertise necessary to provide others with similar outcomes to my own. I'm committed to helping people improve their health and establish a sense of hope that drives a successful recovery. I recognize medicine's limits, and I am prepared for outcomes less successful than my own. However, I have come to appreciate research as the knife edge between what medicine can do now and what it will be able to do in the future. My experience as a researcher has taught me that competent examination of medicine in the healthcare system is critical to patient advocacy and to becoming a successful physician, and I'm driven by the idea of a profession that rewards lifelong learning. Advancements in surgical techniques have allowed me to surpass the expectations of a patient undergoing knee reconstruction, and as medical research drives further progress, similar results will be possible for patients in both life and limb-threatening circumstances. I have become committed to improving clinical outcomes and influencing medicine through research and plan to dedicate my career towards becoming a successful scholarly physician. Dr. Dean Taylor's impact on me emotionally and as a surgeon has inspired me to influence the lives of others. I understand the feeling of being physically limited and the effect that has on a person's quality of life. My experience will allow me to have great empathy for others in similar situations. I also understand the unique relationship between doctors and their patients. A career in medicine will allow me to practice the things that have become important to me, improving the lives of others and advancing the field of medicine through research. Dreams regarding the bright lights of an Olympic stadium have been replaced with the dimness of an operating room. A seemingly tragic event has governed my passions, and the determination that once motivated me to compete following a devastating injury now compels me to impact the world of medicine as a physician scholar. So as you can see, I used my personal statement not only to answer the question, why do you want to go to medical school, but I used it to tell my story. And through my story, I emphasized a few unique characteristics that I have that will not only allow me to succeed in medical school, but hopefully will allow me to succeed as a physician. And again, some of these are those core competencies that admissions committees are already on the lookout for. And so throughout my personal statement, I sought to emphasize those as I wrote and described my narrative. I want to emphasize one important point when you're drafting your personal statement. Get multiple eyes on it consistently through the drafting process. I had people ranging from my wife and my mom to friends in medical schools and even physicians, including my actual surgeon, review my personal statement. And it took multiple drafts, I'm talking like a lot of drafts, to get to the point where I was ready to submit it as a final copy. And that's why it's so important that you begin drafting your personal statement early. I hope this video can help when you're developing your own personal statement, and I hope you can use mine as an example that you can build off of when you're drafting your own. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. That is always greatly appreciated. And if you know anybody else who this video can help, or who else is applying to medical school, make sure to send this to them so that we all can benefit from some of the tips and strategies that I found helpful while I was applying myself. Don't forget to subscribe and tap that bell. You're not going to want to miss a video. Be on the lookout for the final and third part of our mini-series covering the primary application, because it may come out sooner than you think. But until then, keep evolving, and I'll see you guys next time. I'll add a link to I'll add a link in the description below. I should know how to say this by now. If I just smile, I'll just get better at this. No.